No leader has ever had this much power.
He was a cold-blooded Machiavellian.
But in 1966, Chairman Mao is losing his grip.
The madness that he saw in China.
There is only one way out. He must destroy China to save China. His weapon is fanatical teenage believers who wield his little red book. Mao will also shock the world by making a secret deal with his worst enemy.
What we do here can change the world.
This is the story of the leader who will unleash terrible destruction on his own people. It is the story of a man who will end up a god in this godless country. This is Mao Declassified.
He was born December 26, 1893, in a small village in China called Shenzhen, and died September 9, 1976. He is best known as the head of the People's Republic of China from 1949 to 1976, the world's most prominent Chinese communist during the 20th century. Influenced by a professor to study communists, he did and joined a communist party. They overtook Xi Jinping in 1949 using Mao's plan and succeeded. That's when the communists seized power of the mainland China, and Mao was put chairman of the People's Republic of China. If anyone opposed to what he said, they would have been executed by his army. Started the revolution, which involved taking most of the land and property, destroying the landlord class, weakening the middle class, and raising status of the peasants and industrial workers. The belief that the ability of peasants and workers to organize and rule China, which was the goal of the communist group. After a period of time, the civil war broke out between General Mao and the nationalists. The communists won after a long 20 years of fighting. To increase the wealth of China, Mao forced millions of adults and children to work on government-owned farms and factories, on the farms and factories that were took away from landlords. Those who didn't work were sent to jail and tortured. From taking around 80% of all privately owned land, Mao wanted to get rid of all privately held properties. He wanted to form a people's communes. He wanted to own all land of China and rapid industrial and agricultural growth. This was known as the Great Leap Forward. Once for the Great Leap Forward failed because Mao lost control and there was a shortage of food and famines. Millions and millions of people were affected by it. The failed leap forward caused around 43 million people to die. To some, he would be a hero, and to others a dictator and a mass murderer. He used his military power to keep the people of the country quiet. If anyone disagreed with him or tried to overtake him, he would just kill them with his army. He treated everyone the same. It doesn't matter who you are. The teenagers were put in the army and the women were put to work on farms. But Mao did like women. He had 6 wives. Mao Zedong was removed from power after he died in 1976 from a brain disorder. The red star represents Mao Zedong because the star is the symbol for the Red Army, and without this army he wouldn't even be the chairman of the People's Republic of China. The second symbol that represents Mao Zedong is the Little Red Book. This book is written by Mao and it is filled with Mao's quotes and sayings. It even has his whole journey summarized. The book is like a little journal to him. This shows Mao Zedong is organized. He even has romantic poems in it that shows he is romantic too. Both Khatam Shuk from Harun and the Sea of Stories and General Mao Zedong are both greedy for power. Khatam Shuk wanted to rule the world, but General Mao Zedong is less greedy but wanted to rule China. They both wanted power. My second connection is that both of these rulers silenced their people of the city. Mao Zedong scared the people from arguing because he would use his army to execute them, and Khademshah would do the same to his people if they didn't obey him. Both Mao Zedong and Khademshah silenced their people. Third connection is both Mao Zedong and Khademshah were both ruthless. They both were ruthless to stay in power. They both did horrible things to stay in power. Mao tortured people and Khademshah wanted to kill stories. If I was in China, my life would have sucked because Mr. Mao made teenagers join the army to fight for him in the Red Army. What I found strange about Mr. Mao's death was in the same week that he died, there was an earthquake that devastated the city and killed almost 300,000 people in China. Something else I found interesting was that Mao had a higher death toll than Stalin and Hitler.